everybody, it's Lori Broccoloni. Okay, it says I gotta rotate it. Alright, so now it's happy. Okay, well this is the only way it's gonna do it. How you guys doing today? HappyNaturalHorse.com, Lori Broccoloni here. Certified holistic practitioner for equines and people. And I'm not a vet, I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything like that. I'm just a person with common sense and knows how to help keep themselves and their horses and pets healthy. And that's what I like to share. So, anyways, I wanted to finish up on Andy's notes with you guys. So, I wanted to speak a little bit about the Big Sky Minerals and what he talks about. Because the profile of Big Sky Minerals and the huge variety of natural elements in the Big Sky, this should be the basis of your horse's mineral program. It's balanced it is a balanced mineral for over 90% of all feeding programs. I mean, you're not going to find a better mineral anywhere. Okay? And so, what else does he have to say before I get into the remedies? I mean, he's got some really quick remedies here. And, let's see. We talked about the molasses. We talked about the apple cider vinegar. Without animal being balanced, mineral-wise, the vitamins that you're giving it are a waste of money. You're just wasting your money. Without the balanced minerals, vitamins will not work. Okay, they just won't. Vitamins are merely activators. The vitamins that some horses might need at certain times are A, B, C, D, and E. These vitamins are all in the Big Sky, okay, in small amounts, okay, not in large amounts, so you don't need to add to it, okay. Do not feed a sizable amount of vitamin A, D, and E to a horse for any length of time, as it puts stress on the immune system. You're actually weakening the immune system when you do that. On young foals, it can ruin their immune system. Okay, so a lot of people think, oh, my horse isn't getting the right vitamins or anything, but what you're doing is you're overdoing and taxing their system. So even if you don't do the Big Sky Minerals, they get most of their stuff from the hay. So let's go with the real quick, and I'm going to do these quickly. You can jot them down if you get a pen. And these are the old-timer remedies. So I don't know if they work or not. I'm not going to say they do work, but I had a horse that had cellulitis. A lady called me from New England, and it was dying. She didn't tell me it was dying. And so what happened was it had it really bad. And she had spent all this money on vets and wasn't getting anywhere. The antibiotics weren't working. And one of the remedies, and I said, well, it's poison. The blood is poisoned. And one of the remedies is just a little small container that you get at the grocery store. And it's called alum. And you only give a teaspoon. And so I told her to give him a teaspoon, and she did. And the next morning the horse was better. It was amazing. And it was doing quite well. It was running around and felt better. And she thought, oh my God, I've got it switched over. But because it was dumping the blood into the kidneys so quickly, it had a small gas colic. Not a big one. Not enough for the vet. She didn't have any high tracks, so she gave it the apple cider vinegar, and the horse came out of it. And I said that night, I said, you're going to have to give it some more alum. Now, her horse is dying, okay? And she said, she got results with the alum, that little powder that you get at the bakery section in your grocery store, okay? And her horse is dying, and she would not give it any more alum because she was afraid it would colic overnight. I was like, look, if you don't get it with the alum, it's going to be dead in the morning. And she goes, no, she says, I'm not going to do it. She's too afraid. So the next morning she called me and he died. Okay, so sometimes these old-timer things work because that's what they had back then. Okay, so the first one is colic. Now, we always use the high track for colic, okay? If you don't have the high track, you might want to buy some. Comes in, you can get a pint of it for 20 bucks. And you can buy a gallon, which is the cheapest place. But if I didn't even have the Big Sky, I would never be without the high track. Okay? So, we're already on to 5 minutes. Okay. So, colic, 30 cc's of high track, and add 1 rounded teaspoon of cream of tartar if poisoned. So that's only if they're poisoned. Otherwise, it's just the high track until they poop. Okay, colic, old timer. 1/4 pound of baking soda and 1 quart of warm water. Shake well, and then you drench it into the horse's mouth. Diarrhea. Now, I didn't know any of this stuff. I just found these notes. 1 tablespoon of powdered alum a day for 3 days only. You only do it for 3 days if your horse has diarrhea. Okay, so it's alum, A-L-U-M. Founder. And this is all in my book, Natural Equine Remedies. Founder. 2 cups of magnesium sulfate. Just add enough water to drench. Pull out tongue and put 1 tablespoon of alum on the back of the tongue. Let horse out in a cool mud of water if feet are hot. Okay? So they want you to just drench 2 cups of magnesium sulfate into the horse right away when first offset of founder. Okay? Heaves. Now, I never tried this recipe because both my horses died of heaves, and it tells you about the story in my Natural Equine Remedies book. 1 quart of vinegar, beat 2 eggs. Of this mixture, feed 2 tablespoons on feed at every feeding. So it's 1 quart of vinegar, and you beat in 2 eggs. Okay? So, there's 3, 2. Now, lockjaw, you're not going to believe this one. Pour a small amount of turpentine on wound. Warm it first. So you just put it on the lockjaw if the horse has lockjaw. And if you want to unlock the jaw, you're supposed to sit on the horse or put a shotgun on top of his horse's head and shoot it off. This won't jar the horse's jaw loose. And the Indians used to do this all the time. Okay, moon blindness. Now, I've never tried this one, but I've told people that if the horse does have moon blindness, and I don't like vaccines, but you can get the no-sods for lepto if you want. But moon blindness is vaccinate for lepto. That's what he says. Don't know if it works or not, but if your horse has moon blindness, you know, you're going to try anything. You know what I mean? Overheated horses or stop sweating horses. Again, 30 cc's of high track and a tablespoon of cream of tartar. Syringe into mouth. Add vinegar daily. Now, scratches. I had a horse came here from the track. Then he was let out for a year at my daughter's place. And it is baking soda a day. A teaspoon, 1 rounded teaspoon of baking soda a day for 3 days on feed. Wash affected area with vinegar and salt. And scratches is a copper sulfate deficiency. And as soon as this horse got to my place, he did have scratches, but they were gone within, I think, less than 4 days after being on the Big Sky. And I did clean it, but I didn't clean it with the apple cider vinegar. I just cleaned it with whatever. Now, he says for warmer, you feed 4 quarts of grated potatoes twice a week for 3 or 4 weeks. It will also get rid of bots. So I thought that was interesting. But we have natural warmers that work just as well. It's called theholistickhorse.com. Or you can get the Ultra Plus now, and the Ultra Plus will help with the worm, all worms, because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So, ear mites. You apply Wesson oil to the area, feed an extra copper sulfate. So, you can get copper sulfate at any mineral feed mill. Usually has minerals there because they put them in their food. Or you can call Big Sky or email me and I can see if I can get it for you. The copper sulfate is what you need. So now fleas and lice. Horses add 1 rounded teaspoon of sulfur a day to feed for 2 weeks. And my girlfriend had a horse with lice, so I gave her some. He sent it down to me, just regular sulfur, and we added it to the feed and the lice were gone. It's just amazing. Now, this is pretty bizarre and it's in my book. A lot of people Probably would not do it to the horses because they'd be too scared. But there's a lot of things you can do. But this is Old Time Remedies, and I'm just letting you know. So, horse colds. Now, this is a horse that is dying, you know. He's got ammonia, he's got bronchitis. 1 tablespoon of kerosene once a day until the horse is better, and it usually takes 3 days. But in my book, Natural Equine Remedies, you know, we use the super tonic, we use the deep tissue oil. There's I did a video on it. So, colds and flus. So, if you go around my channel, you'll find it. Okay, so a pep tonic. Raw eggs gives a nice smooth coat. Tapeworms, pumpkin seeds. Proud flesh. Put brown sugar and alum on affected area. Now, I've never tried that, but the next time somebody has some proud flesh, I'm going to tell them to try it because that sounds pretty cool. So, proud flesh, put black pepper and lime on infected. Now, I've done lime, and lime works pretty good. So, shipping fever. Feed raw eggs to break the fever. Infections in the vagina, vitamin A, 80,000 IU units, and some vitamin C. White line disease and seedy toe is a copper sulfate deficiency. I had a horse come in here, and my mare had seedy toe, and I upped the copper sulfate, and I did the homeopathic colic floor, and it worked really, really well. And I had another horse come in with thrush, and by the time I could go over and treat it, I usually use a mixture of bleach to kill it and some tea tree oil. But it was on the Big Sky for 4 days, and it was gone. Didn't have any more thrush. Okay, and so he talks about, oh, that was for seedy toe. Thrush is the same thing. Feed copper sulfate. Add a half a cup of copper sulfate to a gallon of water. Soak in foot twice a week for a couple minutes. Okay? And then ringworm, copper sulfate, or copper. Rain rot, any fungus, and scald is always a copper sulfate deficiency. My horse, Dominic, went through a summer. We had some rainy on and off, and I wasn't feeding him Big Sky a lot. And that fall, he came down with a little bit of rain rot. And I wasn't feeding him enough of the Big Sky. So as soon as I just fed him the Big Sky on a daily basis, because I didn't really need it, his rain rot cleared right up. Navicular disease is potassium and vinegar. So I don't know what he means by potassium, but you might want to find what has potassium in it and then up that. So I know bananas do, but I'll have to ask him about that. String halt is definitely a magnesium deficiency, and so is founder. Okay, you need a lot of magnesium in the diet in order to prevent founder. Okay, and the Big Sky Minerals has the most purest form of absorbable magnesium you're ever going to find anywhere in any mineral formula. I know there's formulas out there, and they stop founder and stuff like that. I can't remember some of them. Cuisinets, but it's sulfur iodine. It's oxide. And oxide is pure oxide, and it will help for like a week, but then after that the body can't throw it off, and then the horse gets worse. And I've gone out to barns where they're not on the Big Sky, but they're feeding this stuff, and the horse is 10 times worse. And it says on a very, if you look at the directions on all those things that have the magnesium oxide to stop the founder, yes, it will stop it for a couple days. But what happens is the horse can't throw it off. It gets locked in his body, and then he's real stiff. So, and then he can't even absorb the rest of the magnesium, but he has to because his body can't throw it off. And so the horse gets worse, and then gets really stiff. And so what happens is we take him off of that and put him on magnesium sulfate, which is in the Big Sky, and then the horse can move and get rid of it. Okay, so, and I've seen it many times. Ring bone, same thing. Magnesium and the electrolytes, and then we use a womb balm, sweat around it. Tail chewing or eating. We see little babies chew the mother's tail, and he's only looking for sulfur and copper. Okay, so you want to add those minerals. Not just straight, because you got to do it in a balanced form, and that's why Big Sky Minerals is so important. Tying up is psyllium and vitamin E. Now, we do have psyllium in the Big Sky Minerals and the vitamin E. If you are having tying up in there, you want to look to what else you're feeding the horse. And then you want to look at my book, How to Identify and Release Your Horse's Pain Points. And in there, it gives you the chart and the website to your geographical grid to see what minerals you have in your field to what your horse is eating. Okay? And so you can add a little bit more psyllium to the Big Sky Minerals if you're experiencing tying up. Okay, and a retained placenta is psyllium. Milk fever is calcium phosphorus. Okay, so those are the remedies, and that is it. I think that's it. So basically, though, and like I said, all these, oh, and he talks about protein. I don't know if we talked about protein or not. But this is really, really important because I want to get over these notes so we can move on to other things. A natural source of protein for a horse is in the hay or the grass, okay? And you don't want to go over 8%. People in Europe do not go over 8% in their horses. But over here, people feed 30%, they feed 18%, and then they got the hay and the alfalfa on top of it. And it's just too much for the horse's digestion and the kidneys to process. They can't process all that protein. So, he says adding soybean meal to horse feed does not benefit the horse. Why? It's got estrogen in it, people. Okay, you don't want to feed estrogen to your horse. If you smell ammonia in the urine, and when I used to go to events and I go to barns, you can smell the urine. You can't smell any urine in my barn. None whatsoever. Because I feed just straight Timothy, Stanley hay pellets, and I feed, just the Big Sky Minerals and hay, and they have their grass. So it's best to mix up your hay grasses and stuff like that so he can balance his protein level. So when the weather turns cold, a horse's system will slow down to conserve energy. This is natural, and this is why we have colics, okay? And his gut will slow down too. This can cause problems. The liver is to cleanse the blood, and if conditions are not right, he does not get a good feed in his blood, it can turn toxic. Amino Plus is a good blood and liver tonic. This has worked very well. Now, he had written this back when I wrote the book 5 years ago. So, now we use a program called Ultra Plus, and it does everything. It does the amino acids, and it does the cleans the liver, the kidneys, and it restores the immune system. It might be a little pricey, but it's worth it. And I mix it with the apple cider vinegar and the high track, and that's all I do. And I save on hay, and my horses look fantastic. They're getting ready. I'm getting ready to give them some hay. So you want to make sure that you give high track, or you give the apple cider vinegar during the fall when the seasons change, because it gets colder at night and then it gets hot during the day. So that liver's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, this was worked very well. For the gut to go into hibernation, the horse has to lose fluid to balance. Big Sky should prevent this from happening. But if the horse needs help, add Minizyme to the feed. And there's a half a gallon of Minizyme to a gallon of the Ultra Plus. So, there you go, people. There's your remedies. Get my book. You can get both books for $50, and that comes with the DVD, and I give free gifts for everybody that buys the $50 deal. And get your horses on Big Sky Minerals. You're going to see your vet bills go down drastically. Like drastically. Mm-hmm. Drastically. So, okay. HappyNaturalHorse.com, Natural Equine Remedies. Have a great day. It's a beautiful morning. Here, let me show you. Let's see if you can see my horses. They're waiting. Got a little cool last night, so I got to get going. Bye.